good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of the Driver's Seat. This is our first episode of the new year, so I want to wish everyone a happy new year, a very prosperous new year. My name is Ray Belton. I am the senior OD analyst in the Center of Public Leadership and Learning, and I am so excited to get into episode number 6. And today we are going to be celebrating the ride as we discuss our key driver department culture. We have a special treat in for you today, so I am excited to start navigating this journey. And it begins by introducing some key people who are joining me today to make your experience great. So, I want to introduce a few members of the OD team who will be supporting you today. First, I want to introduce Miss Consuela Frazier. Consuela, would you please come on and give a warm hello to our guest today?
Good morning and welcome to the driver's seat, everyone. Great to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Consuela. We also have Miss Satin Moffitt, our technical director behind the scenes. Satin, give them a warm hello this morning.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Happy Friday Eve to some. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Satin. And then we have our person who will be navigating and helping us to see the spotlight of our driver today and give us some key takeaways on our driver today, Miss Oninye Wulu. You're on mute, but we see and feel the smile.
Awesome. Glad that came through. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ray. I'm Oninye Owulu, the training administrator for the organizational development team. On behalf of myself and my team, we are so glad that you could be here with us today. As Ray kind of hinted at, I will be supporting today's webinar by highlighting the key driver for today and by summarizing key takeaways at the end. Back to you, Ray.
Thank you so much, Oninye. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention our leader, Miss Denise Weiss. Many of you know her. She is out ill today, and we are wishing her the best for a fast recovery. But she sends her warm regards to you all. And I know y'all know that comes from a sincere place. So let's get started. You guys know how we do it. We start with our connection before content. And today, the question at hand is, when time is taken to recognize progress or wins, how do people show up at work? In other words, how does recognition impact how we show up? And so there are a few choices. If you're new to the webinar, what you would do is in the chat, you will either use the emoji or the words to give your response and share your voice and your opinion. So, in regards to this question, when time is taken to recognize progress or wins, how do people usually show up at work? You can either find one of those emojis to identify your answer, or you can type in the words. So, for example, you can find a bullseye emoji and put that in the chat, or you can just type in the words, more focus, in the chat. But either way, let us know your voice. What is your opinion on this question? When time is taken to recognize progress or wins, how do people usually show up at work? And I'm going to see what you guys have here in the chat. I see I see a battery. I see some people saying more energized, more motivated, more focused. All right. Oh, okay. Power up, Monica. More energized, Norma. Lacey says more motivated. Tony, more energized. Atanya, Atanya. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, hit me in the chat. Just Send me a fist emoji in the chat. Shamika saying we collaborating. All right, I see it. I see it. More willing to share more. Tiffany, more motivated. Carolyn, yes. All right. Susan, more motivated. All right. All right. All right. Let's see who else is chiming in. Brittany. Brittany doubled down. Said more open and more energized. All right, Miss Cordova, more energized. Rita is motivated and got the moves to prove it. All right, Mariah, all are true. All right, thank you for sharing that, Mariah. All of these things happen. All right, charged. Cynthia is okay. We get some things done. Monique said, focus. All right, Joseph, come on in. More open. I see you guys. All right, all right. So I think we can easily say that our culture gets better as we share. What happened to my screen? Oh, the webinar gremlins are in the house, but I am the gremlin buster. There you go, your connection again. But I want to thank you all for sharing. Let me see if there's one more thing. All right. I see y'all. I think we have a consensus that our environment improves, that our culture improves when recognition is given, when our wins are shared in the organizations. So thank you so much. Olivia says, show up like superheroes. All right, all right. I know we got a lot of superheroes in the city of Houston, and I want to thank you all for joining us. So when we come together, superheroes, to drive change, our ultimate outcome, in case you were wondering with this webinar, is that you'll be able to discover and apply each one of these engagement drivers that we share in the episode. That they won't just be words on the wall, they won't be just something that talked about when it's time to do a survey from time to time, but that you can spark positive change right where you are every single day because you understand what these drivers are and what they mean and how you can use them every day. So that's the outcome that we're looking for. But I want to turn it over to Oninye so that she can give you some more insight into today's driver, which is department culture.
All righty. Thank you, Ray. So today's key driver is department culture. So how do we describe department culture, right? Culture is this term that we've all heard in one capacity or another. But here we're describing culture, department culture, as how we do things around here and the effect it has on how employees think and feel about their work environment and whether they are heard. This includes the freedom to be open about vulnerabilities, admitting mistakes, and asking for help without fear of punishment or embarrassment. So, when we talk about engagement, we often focus on where we're trying to go. But department culture is truly shaped by what we pay attention to while we're getting there. Recognition matters because, well, for a few reasons, but recognition matters because it sends a signal. It sends the signal that tells people that what you do here counts. And what gets recognized is far more likely to be repeated. Okay. At its simplest, at its core foundation, recognition is noticing. You are noticing effort. You're noticing progress. You're noticing when something shifts for the better, not just for the worse. And when that happens, it tells all of us the exact same thing. What we do here matters. When we acknowledge teamwork, we acknowledge someone speaking up, when we highlight learning from mistakes, people collaborate more. and others feel safer doing the same thing, right? We reinforce that it's okay to be open, to ask for help, and to grow. Recognition, it quietly cues the behaviors that we want to see more of. Now, recognition doesn't require big programs or formal awards. A comment in a meeting, a shared story, a moment of appreciation, these things create these small shifts, and these signals add up. And over time, they guide how we show up for one another. So, as we all collectively drive transformation, one change at a time, celebrating the ride helps us stay aligned and motivated. It, it really does build our momentum. When we intentionally recognize the behaviors that move us forward, we reinforce the culture that we want, and we make it easier for all of us to repeat what works. All right, back to you, Ray.
Thank you so much, Oninye, for giving us a little more insight on department culture. I told you all we had a treat today. And so now I get the privilege of not just letting you know we have a special guest, but today we have a special host. We have a special host today, the one and only Dr. Crystal Bessics. She serves as our Chief Learning Officer here in the Center of Public Leadership and Learning with over 15 years of experience leading enterprise level learning and organizational development efforts. She strengthens workforces, strengthens capability, advances performance, and she just guides us in our organization with this strong passion to empower people and enhance how organizations operate and serve. It is my privilege to introduce our guest host for today, Crystal Bessics.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray. I'm excited to be the guest host for today's driver seat webinar. Thank you for all of your attendance. It's sure to be an awesome ride today. And again, I want to give a shout out, kudos to my OD team for putting on such a fabulous webinar to give you what tools and tips and strategies so that we can strengthen our department culture. So again, on behalf of Center of Public Leadership and Learning, welcome, and let's get ready for this ride. So we not just, this ain't about me. I'm gonna tell y'all, okay? So as Chief Learning Officer, this is about hearing from Director Jane E. Cheeks. She is the Human Resources Director with over 25 years of service to the city of Houston. So she has experienced it all across the city, and I think that she has such a wealth of knowledge to share with us today as we talk about department culture. She currently leads a team of 279 HR professionals, which I think we got some HR professionals in the house today. So make a shout out in the chat. She is a very passionate, people-focused leader. She is inspired by employee engagement and has been fully supportive since we first launched our I&E Employee Engagement Initiative. She is also behind the development of the city's Wellness Center, and she fosters collaboration and connection across departments. So please welcome Director Cheeks as our keynote speaker for today's webinar on department culture.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome, good. So I think we'll get started. Welcome, welcome. All right. So the first question. Last year was a lot for the city of Houston. We went through some consolidations. There were different departmental transfers due to the citywide efficiency study with Ernst & Young. Departments had a focus on turning the curve, and so that required us to do some different restructuring. We had to address span of control. That was a lot. I don't know about everybody on this call, but I sure was tired. It was change after change and movement across the movement. So now it's like 2026. It's the new year. Hopefully we're settled. And so how can we now rebuild or strengthen our department culture after going through all these changes across the city?
Wow. So first of all, let me say, I'm not going to say that we're done. So I'm not, you're not going to hear the HR director say that we're done. And so I want to also, before I get into that question, just also thank the administration, Mayor Whitmire, Cynthia Wilson. I want to thank them for the support that they have given, especially to human resources, with respect to being at the forefront of us turning the curve. All right. So I want to thank you for all of that. Now, and he's spearheaded all the different cultural things that we're doing here in the city of Houston. Um, I want to be clear, you know that this is not like we're in a speedboat. We're more like on a cruise ship, right? So at the end of the day, I think what it's important to everyone, and even my colleagues, but today I'm only going to speak for me, that we realize that we do have to take it slow, even though it feels like we're moving 100 miles an hour. I think the culture shift that we are going through right now is one of the biggest. I've been here 26 years this year, and I believe that this culture shift is the biggest one that we've experienced, or at least I've experienced in my 26 years with the city, um, because it's so different. It makes us look different. It makes us think differently. It makes us feel different. And it makes us a little uneasy because it is so different. I think the rationale behind the turning the curve is one that allows for everyone to think about doing things differently. That we're the fourth largest, soon to be the third largest city in the United States. And we have to move forward. We have to look at technology different. We have to look at learning different. We have to look at all of these things differently. And I do believe that us turning the curve and us being a part of the cultural shift that is happening in the city is what's going to bring us there. I think Onyenye, I must say, she pretty much, I don't know why you need to talk to me. She kind of said everything. But one of the things I wanted to just enhance that paying attention to the employees, the recognition, that's important. I practice what I preach, okay? And I say this all the time. You report to me too, so you've heard me say it. At the end of the day, you have to appreciate the employees that are doing all the hard work. I don't make human resources, but today I have 297 employees, and they do. Those are the ones that make us successful. Those are the individuals that make things happen because we're a foundational department. All right. It starts with us. That's one of our things. It starts with us. But it's important that you do recognize your employees. You do appreciate your employees. In order to change culture, there has to be a shift. There has to be a change. You know, HR is going through a transformation right now. And I'm sure that all departments in some way, in their own way, they're making a change. But HR has decided to do it in our HR way. We've decided to turn the curve. We've decided to pay attention to being connected to each other, connected to managers and supervisors, connected to departments. We have decided to look at culture as a connection. And I think that that's very important. So I hope I was able to answer that sufficiently.
Beautiful. I got a couple more interview questions, Director. Okay, beautiful. I love it. I love it. So you mentioned that through these changes, there will probably be some more, coming down the pipeline for the city of Houston, is because we as an organization, an agency, we have to respond to our community. The world around us is changing. So yes, we have to adapt and transform as well. So how do you help employees move forward? You said that we have to be able to move forward. So as we talk about culture, it's not only the department of HR, and each department is changing, but I think it also impacts us as employees. How do we begin to make that shift to move forward as the culture is changing?
So I believe it's kind of twofold. So first of all, remember, all I have is my HR hat. So one of the main things that we have to realize and that employees have to realize is that today that we have like 5 generations in the workplace. That is a record. That's not, I mean, you can look it up, you can Google it. We have 5 generations in the workplace. So I think that what we as employees first have to understand is that we have to understand that we need to learn how to work together through these generational differences. I think that everybody adds value. And I think that's what everybody needs to understand. You know, I feel as though I add value. I've been here 25 years. You've only been here a few years, right? So I believe that I add value to assist you in knowing always my motto, not anybody else's, that you have to know the past in order to be able to change the future. So I think it's important that we learn from each other, that we work cohesively together, knowing that we can take the next step, make the next move because we're working together. And that is something that all employees, I realize that, there are 22,000 plus because we keep fluctuating, but we're never under 22,000, 22,000 plus employees. And we have to be able to work harmoniously. That's an important word, harmoniously together. And I use intentional a lot. And being intentional about staying above the fray, being intentional about not worrying about who's next to me, who's beside me, all of those things. Be intentional about what you have that will help enhance our city of Houston. Because if you stay focused on those things is what will help you move forward. I know I sit here because I'm telling you, I practice what I preach. You just have to do what you know is right and do the things that you need to do.
That's beautiful, and kind of painting a picture of how we need to work harmoniously together. But I would say, Director, that sometimes in the day-to-day, environment, I'm trying to work with another executive leader, or maybe two division managers are trying to work together. Maybe an employee is trying to work with the supervisor, but there's always maybe some challenges, a little bit of conflict. So I get the understanding that we need to collaborate and be harmonious, but sometimes not every day is a good day. How do we navigate through that in order to still achieve this harmonious culture that you want us to have? How do we get past the cultural difference, the conflict, maybe the different communication style? How do we do that in order to still get to that harmonious state that you think we should achieve?
Wow, you hit me with all these questions. All right, so you hit me hard. So first of all, uh, again, I have another saying. I don't let anyone take my day. I have some bad moments. I even said this in new employee orientation. Think if you focus on the moment. Sometimes I have bad moments. Um, I'm in human resources, so every once in a while we have some bad moments. But I don't let those moments define me. So I think that we know we're all human, that everyone doesn't get along. I mean, that's just a given. Everyone may not have um, uh, the wherewithal to be able to deal with someone who has a strong personality, or maybe someone that just plain whether it's intentional or unintentional, just talks too much. All right. But you have to be intentional about understanding the big picture. All right. You're trying to, get me to right now trying to solve it all. I can't do that. But you do have to be able to think from a perspective. But this is where, maybe I think I'm a little different. I'm a visionary, and I think most directors that are in the seat have a vision for their departments, right? And I believe that it's first the way you get rid of all the things that you're saying is that when everybody understands the direction, that's the direction, not necessarily it's cultural, but the direction. Because if you understand the direction and then you start working on the culture, it will work out. So I believe that from every level, and sometimes that's bottom up. Everybody always talks about top down. Okay. So sometimes bottom up, our most crucial employees are our boots on the ground employees. But our boots on the ground employees have to understand direction and culture just as much as those top level downs. And I believe that that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the things that are necessary, it's all about being able to show them the direction. Because if people know the direction that they're going in, they're less likely to worry about, I don't get along with her, I don't get along with him. It's just, what's the direction? How are we going to accomplish this? No. I hope that helped.
That was fantastic. And so, what I've experienced from working with you um, throughout this time is that to bring the two together, the top down, the bottom up, you have to create a connection. So, kind of share with them about how you kind of launch your touch points to kind of get HR department going in the right direction.
I appreciate that. So as you can see by my background, you see a beacon. And so the first thing is that I believe that directors, or at least what I did, is bringing together my executive staff to ensure, how do we see our department in the next 5 years? How do we see what we're doing here in the city of Houston to be enhanced in this next 5 years? Because culturally, you've already said it, Dr. Bessix, that we've already gone through a shift. That 2025 was pretty aggressive. We were doing a lot of things. We had hiring freeze. We did all of the things. And all of those things hit HR harder now. And I'm not taking anything away from the other departments, don't be clear. But we were actively involved in all of those hard things. So it was not an easy feat to get everybody to remain on the same page when change was hitting us every time we turned around.
So we
So
tired and we all need vacations over here at HR. We tired after all that. HR, we tired.
I see. That's what you weren't supposed to. You weren't supposed to do that. So at the end of the day, I think what was important and what we did was that we came together, and I think a lot of departments are doing this now. I want to applaud. Let me be clear. I want to applaud all the directors and all the departments, because all of them are doing the same thing that I'm doing. We're meeting with our managers, with our supervisors. We're discussing the direction. We're discussing what the direction that administration wants us to go. And we're making sure that everyone understands that direction. So for us, turning the curve was not a cliche that the mayor just put out there. I wanted human resources to know we were going to turn that curve, that we were going to see, people were going to see that we were going in a different direction. People were going to see, not that HR is perfect, because remember, HR is the first. We always going to go down first. You have to understand that's just the nature of our business. But that people could see that we were trying to do something different. I wanted the department to see that, and the executive staff, we had a big meeting. So Dr. Bessick's talked about touch points. That's what I call my meetings touch points. I don't call them meetings because I believe if you look up touch point and you'll understand why I do it, it's the definition of how we're interacting in those meetings. So I changed all the meetings to touch points. And we had a big one where all the departments would be able to see the executive staff be a part of the communication, that it was collaborative, that we all sat down and we did it together. And I think when employees see everybody collaborating and see everybody together, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And when everybody, let me tell you, singing from the same sheet of music is a good thing. When y'all actually on the same in harmony, it gets even more wonderful. So I think within HR, our big thing was to ensure and be sure that everyone was aligned with the direction and realize that we sincerely believed in what the administration wanted set forth, which was turning the curve in the city of Houston.
So thank you for that, because the real story is, everybody on this call, is she told us executive leaders to get up in here for 2 days. She locked us down to
There
come
we
up
go
with this
again.
vision, right? And she barely fed us. I gave us something to drink. Hey, y'all, that's what really happened. But it's beautiful. We out here now with this vision. So I think that we do have the capacity to make a difference and make a change. But at the employee level, how can an employee, I guess, also be a champion for the change that they want to see in their departments?
Well, I think that's where I&E has played an integral part. I think, first of all, we have made certain that the employees now have an avenue, have a tool by which they can confidentially talk about how they feel about where they work. And I think that that's something, again, that was a shift. Yeah, we have had surveys before, but I&E, all right, involve and evolve has changed the way employees think. You know, if and I'm hoping that everything is filtering up and everything is going down, and that employees have seen this is the second year that we've done an assessment, and that we are showing that departments are listening to those frontline employees more. That what's being said on those surveys, that we as directors are hearing those things, y'all. That we're hearing it, all right, and then by hearing it, that we're actually acting upon it, up, up on it. Okay, so you just can't do surveys and then there's no action. Okay. And what HR has tried to do, again, with the support of the administration, is that show that things are changing because we're listening. We're listening to what the employees are saying. So the answer to what you asked me was speak up, say something, let us know what you're thinking. I always say the best ideas I've ever had in human resources probably did not come from my executive staff. It came from the rank and file, those people that are out there doing the work. Listen to them. If we got managers and supervisors on here, listen to your employees. Listen to what they're saying. Sometimes they actually do have really good ideas. If employees, please, I know it's not easy, because I realize there are some individuals that may feel that they're being retaliated against or they can't speak up, but you have to speak up if you want to be heard, because if you're just holding it in, we don't know what to do, and we don't know how to do it. So I would say, please just speak up.
Share that advice about employees having the ability to speak up, because sometimes, especially when you work in a chain of command, organization, they may not feel confident to share their voice and to speak up. So I do think like even when we do our I&E employee engagement survey, which they come out every 18 months, I think for Kimberly, I think she had a question in the chat. We also encourage departmentals to also create maybe a pulse survey. So you'll see our OD team develop a pulse survey so we can keep up with feedback throughout the month in between the citywide I&E employee engagement survey. But it is important that you find a way to share your voice so that you can make an impact on your culture, right? And then we also have our I&E champions. I don't know, we have a few champions on the call today, on this webinar today, but the I&E employee engagement champions, the Catalyst champions, were designed to be a point of contact for you at your departments. So that if you wanted to share your voice, if you wanted to champion a new ideal, you can go to your I&E champion. So the OD team will make sure that every department has an I&E champion, but that's another great resource for you as well to share your voice. Now, success. I think Onyinye did give us a good understanding about department culture. So we've talked about change. We talked about how employees can contribute to sharing their voice for that culture. Let's also talk about the success. How can the success stories, or how can we first identify success stories within our department? And then my second question is, how can we champion those success stories so they become a ripple effect throughout the department to make an impact on our culture?
I think it's really important that departments understand that they have to create um, a way for employees to feel comfortable to talk. All right. And if those things are actually created and other employees hear about it, then it actually does have a ripple effect. But each and every department and each one of the 25 departments, they all do things differently. And you touched upon something, and I want to make sure that I'm clear because I know this is being recorded and it's live and everything. I fully and unequivocally respect the chain of command. All right. I understand that, and I realize that some of our departments are very structured in that. But sometimes, and remember, I'm just an HR person, sometimes people just want to talk. It's not that they're breaking the chain of command. And sometimes when you let those people talk, you hear what they say, and then you go into your staff meetings and they hear you repeating the things that you heard and they hear you acting upon that. Those are the times, that's when you start seeing it, because what that person feels, something. They might not want to say something. Then they feel like, okay, something. Now something. I told them that, look, they using it. And then the next person goes, oh, well, something. If they said something and that was listening, maybe. But hey, go in, be respectful. But I think that as a city, and I believe that this is what we're all being taught. It's the way you do it, it's how you do it. I think we have to have more success stories about what everybody is doing. I think we try to be very intentional in HR, our city savvy, our benefits pulse, just publishing things. I can say also that HTV, with all of the different things that they're having, y'all got to understand we are bad to the bone. The city of Houston is doing some things. You got to realize that those are the things that are being published. Those are the things that our mayor talks about every day. But we got to make our employees realize that we hear you, so that they can start seeing it. Because if one person does it and it reaches somebody, then the next person feels comfortable and it just keeps going. I just talked about my touch point. At the end of the day, what affected my department the most was to see the whole executive staff with me. They were with me talking about these things. It made a difference. We heard the noise, okay? We heard the how everybody really enjoyed that. Each department has something. That's what worked for HR. But each department has something that they can do that can escalate the voice of the good things. All right. Because I always tell people it's only 0.01%, y'all. That's the stuff on the news and it's escalated. But the city of Houston has 99.9% of the employees. We have a phenomenal, and I'm not just saying that because I love all y'all, but we have 99% of the employees that love what they do and come to work to do a job. And they do want to be recognized. They do want to be able to have civility. You know, that's a whole nother thing. Have civility in the workplace. They want all these things. And I just think that if departments would just please think about those things and be more intentional about getting activities or the things that would work, that would show employees that they hear them, then that ripple effect, it will come so naturally. You know, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Director. Beautiful. I think you paint a beautiful picture. But you know what? I'm gonna get real right quick for a second. Hold up. I'm gonna get real. I understand what you're saying about rewarding and recognizing our employees, but they still do their job though. I still need our employees to still meet the performance. I still need them to ensure that we have a high level of customer service. I need them to show up on time for work. Okay, everybody, they need to be on time. But how can I balance this performance that I need with my team with trying to also be considerate of who they are as a person? That's a lot for me to do, okay? Because I really need this work to get done. How can managers and supervisors balance the performance with the compassion or the consideration?
Back to business. Now that one right there.
I mean, they need to come.
Really,
They need to come to work. Everybody
to,
come to work. We got things to do. Okay.
so that is a very good question because there's some supervisors out there that's saying that, you know, but supervisors gotta communicate more effectively. Yeah. I need you to come to work and do your job. All right. Okay. And do the things. But I'm still saying, Dr. Bessix, but you gotta understand, you want me to come to work and do the job, right? You want me to come to work and do the job, but I show up, I'm doing my job, but some things are still occurring. So that balance that you talk about, it's on both sides. All right. We got the employee coming to work, doing their job, doing everything that they need to do. All right. And as you said at the beginning, HR is a little tired. All right. But managers have to communicate effectively. This isn't about intentionality. This is about understanding. All right. So we have to be able to make sure that everyone understands what it is that they are doing, what it is that they have to do it. I think it's a balance. I think it's a balance because this is the city of Houston. All right. 22,000 plus employees. And I hear you. That's a good question. All right. But at the end of the day, the balance goes both ways. It goes with supervisors and it goes with employees. That happy and harmonious balance is that you have a team of people like I do that want to work for you, that want to be able to see everything flourish within your department, regardless of whether you end up on the news or not. But that understand you have done your best, that you are doing all the things that you're supposed to do, but sometimes stuff happens. Okay. So I get it. I get what you're saying. But at the end of the day, it cuts both ways.
So communication between managers, supervisors, so it's like 360 approach to communication. And even across service lines, that's how we can be so more supportive, stay focused on performance, as well as foster connection and collaboration. Those are key elements, I think, to strengthening our department culture. So what's one key takeaway? We have 113 employees on the call from various departments. What's one key takeaway or one action step they can do starting tomorrow or today to begin building a stronger culture?
I still am gonna say we gotta speak up. We gotta talk more. We gotta communicate more effectively. I see a lot going on in the chat. I see a lot going on in the chat. The you know, doing 360s and you know, again, that civility keeps coming up. All right, that civility is something that I'm unapologetic about that because remember, I'm HR. Civility is something that must happen. It's not negotiable. All right, it's not negotiable, and it comes from supervisors and from employees, employee to employee, supervisor to employee. But this being about culture, if if you're not creating a culture of being respected, if you're not creating a culture of listening, if you're not creating a culture of togetherness, if you're not creating a culture that you want, that you aren't ashamed of, then you have to be able to listen. Remember, hearing is audible. Either can or you can't. But listening is something you got to take time to do and to act upon. So I hope that helped. I hope that my, as I say, my 2 cents today has been helpful to someone. You know me, I always say reach one, teach one. I know it may not be good for everybody, but hopefully something I've said here has assisted someone.
Think that kind of what I conclude is that at the end of the day, it's not about you. So for our leaders, managers, and supervisors, I think we have to get out our own way so that we can be a little bit more supportive to our team so that we can do the tough work it takes to make a connection. I know some of you may have a philosophy that we just show up, go to work, get a paycheck, come on out here. But for the work that we do to support the residents of Houston, oh no, we gotta have a little bit more purpose with us, okay? And so it does take us to kind of get our own way to be more supportive, to kind of be more connection, to reach across different service lines, to have, so it may take a little bit more extra effort, is what I'm hearing you say, for us to move our teams forward, for us to demonstrate connection, communication, and collaboration, for us to make that culture shift. We got to do a little bit extra effort to get there. But once we get there, the result is what? I think it's a beautiful
Phenomenal.
thing.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
to have
phenomenal.
to
It's
see great
phenomenal.
results.
It's phenomenal. I see those that know me know that I'm a Steve Jobs, that I love me some Steve Jobs. But anyway, I just saw one of his quotes in the chat. And, you know, excellence is what everyone should expect, not just me as a director. You should expect excellence, all right? That you should want excellence to show in your work. Excellence is what helps to shift the culture because you want everything to be wonderful. So thank you, Dr. Bessels.
Yeah, thank you, Consuela. I think we had some questions in the chat.
All right. Yes, Dr. Bessick and Director Cheeks. I do see some comments in the chat. Uh, let's see. Erica would like to say that I think this is more of a comment than a question. She says, I would like to kindly and humbly add that when the employee's environment is made safe and respectful, the balance comes organically. Everyone likes to come to work when they feel safe, seen, and heard. And we have to realize that environment is cyclical based on leadership and management. Just a small addendum.
That's real talk. So I thank you for that's real talk. That's serious, and that's why I'm always, as your HR director, going to talk about civility. And that, that's why we were the champion of the policy that came out. You got to be civil. And that well said, ma'am, well said.
We have training around EO 1-20 coming out pretty soon. So yes, civility is important. And I think that we need to make sure we give everybody the skills and knowledge and tools to champion that civil behavior on our teams.
Okay, and then we also have a couple of comments around the 360 reviews. One is a question and one is a comment. I'll combine them. Are there plans for 360 reviews? And then that's from Kimberly. And Marcella says 360 reviews should replace current HERE plans.
Wow. So as Dr. Bessix works with departments on our next step with our HERES and also with our labor union, we have been approached, and I think she's the approach. I'll let her speak for herself about 360s. I don't know whether we would ever receive approval to actually replace our assessments with the 360s. I do believe that Dr. Bessix is making a concerted effort to get where we could have access to doing 360s for departments that request it. But again, I'm not here to dictate how departments want to do things, but that we're going to be very intricately involved in the learning from all levels that deal with people. Now, departments are going to stick to what they do as far as operations. But I think with these consolidations, the mayor has made it very clear that training and learning from a people perspective is something that we're going to handle. Is that correct, Dr. Beskis?
Yes, and so to kind of support with the HERE plans, which we are looking ahead on how we can streamline HERE plans and make them a little bit more effective and efficient. There's a lot of great things coming up from HR department over the next year that will make a difference, I think, in our HERE plans. But we do also provide our HERE labs training that can help support you with that. And we are looking at how the 360 approach can complement our current HERE plan.
Okay, so no plans in place to replace the HERE, but plans in place to complement the HERE plans with the 360.
Yeah, we're just going to make it more effective and efficient. We've added a few more behavioral factors. Those are our key factors across the organization. And upon kind of conducting a job analysis, it connects very well. So what we're going to do is help people understand how to connect performance to position. I think we'll do that first and then look at how we can make, I know this it's the TMS. So we're going to be looking at how that can be improved as we move into the HR1 platform over the next year. That would make it 10 times better for everybody. Believe me, I understand.
Okay, and it looks like we may have time for a couple of more questions. Betty Davis Gilbert says, we must have, so I don't think this is a question, more of a comment. We must have the hard conversation that may be required to create a balance to get the work done and give the employees the opportunity to voice their concerns. Neglecting these discussions can lead to obstacles that hinder productivity for everyone involved. We sometimes avoid these conversations because they are uncomfortable. Culture changes require conversation and connection. Any
That's true.
comments?
No, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. So, you said we could get to one more I do see one from
Oh, yes, from
I think
Satin.
well no, actually it's from
Oh,
Julian. He asked, I think
Julian.
he actually is asking a question.
Oh, yes, yes, I
Uh
see. Okay.
Anthony.
Anthony. Yes, Anthony Julian. We is that I think that's I don't know if it's when we strive to show competence, which is demonstrated skills, character, you must have a diverse ability to be compassionate, honest, and honesty and integrity seen. How can you lead if you are not connected equally? You have to learn everyone from different prospects. So I think it sounds like a combination of a question and a statement.
So I just want to speak to that from the perspective of you are correct. The city is a very diverse population. And I would love everybody to have that integrity and that compassion and that honesty as leaders. And I believe that one thing that the EY study is allowing us as directors and managers and supervisors to do, and we're working right along with them, is to realize that it's the Peter principle that a lot of times our worker bees, because there was no other avenue, and we've made other avenues now. There was no other avenue for individuals to grow within the organization that they were promoted to supervisors and managers. I don't sit here to make excuses because I've been here 25 years. I've seen a lot. But I think that that statement is probably one that somewhat embodies that mixture of individuals that were unable to move up and get now what we have is PPZs and all those type things for doing a good job at what they were doing, but that they were not necessarily people person. I mean, I'm telling, I've talked to managers that, have sat in my office and said, but I really ain't that crazy about, working with people. I like just doing the day to day. Okay, well, you're not necessarily in the right place. You know, that's again a cultural shift. And it also goes back to maybe what Miss Betty said. You got to have the tough conversations. You got to be able. We just have some people that you know just aren't nice, and those aren't individuals who should be in supervisory positions. So I think that's my 2 cents on that, and I realized that my team was very transparent with me. I believe transparency is good. They wanted to start on time and they wanted to end on time. And I know y'all got to get back to work. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Ray.
Thank you so much, Consuela. Thank you, Director Cheeks. Thank you, Dr. Bessix. We appreciate you all being so candid and open with us this morning. I want to thank everybody who made the comments. We didn't get to address every comment with the entire group, but thank you for adding those. The chat will be live. It'll be there. This recording will be there for you. I want to reinforce that Dr. Bessix says there's training. One of our other managers in CPLL, Deborah Johnson, is on there and letting you know that these classes are free for you to take, that there are many options that you have to support and develop yourself. Real quickly, I heard the director say that we have to understand that this is a ship, a cruise ship that's moving slowly, right? And that we need to speak up along the way. And so being able to celebrate our progress, to celebrate the ride, is about saying, yes, the ship is moving slow, but look at what has happened since we started moving. And then at the same time, when it comes to speaking up, I heard the director say, when people hear that they have been heard, it makes a difference and it has a ripple effect. So sharing the successes lets other people know that something is happening, even though we're going slowly. So, thank you all so much for your contributions. I want to highlight our next episode that is going to be coming up is going to be with the driver my team, and we're going to welcome our guest Larry Hassan, the director of solid waste management, and he's going to be talking about highways and byways, how we deal with our team. So I want to invite you all to be a part of that and to join us for that. And last but not least, if you would, before you leave today, please take this brief survey. Let us know how we're doing, how we might improve the driver's seat for you, that we can make it something meaningful and valuable for you. So I'm going to leave that on the screen. I'll turn the music on. I'll stay available. The rest of the team will be here for you. If you have any remaining questions, comments, anything that we can do to support you, we're going to be here. But it is 11 o'clock and we are signing off. Drive safely. Once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. If there are no more questions or concerns, we will be ending the webinar for today. I just want to check one more time, make sure there are no questions or any concerns out there before we close today. And so grateful that you all would join us. Anthony, Mark, both Anthony's, by the way, Davis and Juliet. Thank you all. And keep up the good work. Keep up the good work.